85% of partners prefer a man who is groomed below the waist, and 96% of partners think bad grooming is a major turn-off. That's where Manscaped have come in to help us all out, including myself, lads. The Lawnmower 4.0 is a trimmer specifically designed with our crown jewels in mind. It has skin-safe technology to reduce those nicks and cuts and gives you the maximum confidence while trimming below the waist. It's also IPX7 waterproof rated, so you can operate in wet or dry conditions. It has a premium 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology and a massive 90-minute battery time, which is supported by its wireless electromagnetic charging function. With the Performance Package 4.0, you'll get the Crop Reviver with witch hazel and powerful odor defense. This keeps your balls protected after a good shave. Crop Preserver with its soothing aloe vera and advanced quick absorbing cream, keeping your balls feeling fresh and hydrated. And the Weed Whacker to trim ear and nose hair. The Performance Package 4.0 has everything you need to keep you the most groomed man in the room. Use our code XTRA20 XTRA20 at checkout and you'll save yourself 20% off your order and receive free international shipping. Yo guys, what is going on? Welcome back to another stream, and we've got more developments, more news on transfers. We've got a look at the Gvardiol deal. Is this deal going ahead? Is it not? Rumours of Manchester City maybe moving on this deal, and as well, have we found a potential exit for Cancelo towards Spain? Lots to get through and little time to get it done. So guys, let's get straight into it. Make sure you drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the channel as well if you guys are new. But first of all, we should take a look at this latest news that came out yesterday, that Manchester City are now potentially looking at alternatives to Josko Gvardiol. Should Leipzig continue to stall over the Gvardiol deal? If Manchester City are unable to secure a new signing, Pep Guardiola will not sell Laporte this summer, which may explain why Laporte's still not left the football club, because Pep wants 5 centre-backs. And, of course, if we sell Laporte and don't get the Gvardiol deal over the line, we're going to look like fucking idiots, to be honest with you. So, bro, what's your take on this, man? Are City starting to get a little bit annoyed at how long this is taking, or is this just a little bit of gamesmanship from Man City, maybe putting the pressure on Leipzig to say, look, we will walk away?
Well, we know Leipzig are starting to feel the heat anyway, because the word yesterday was that Leipzig are keen to get the deal done soon as well. I think they're getting a bit fed up with the back and forth, the ongoings as well. So, first of all, I agree with you. If we don't get Gvardiol over the line, let's be real. We do look like fucking idiots. We do. You know, we pursued this guy all summer. If we weren't to get him, we'd be left with our trousers around our ankles. But I did hint this to you, and I suggested this idea that, or in one of our watch-alongs, I think during the week, that is Pep playing Laporte. He featured in all 3 of our preseason games because there is potential for life with Laporte post this transfer window. Is Pep playing Laporte on the basis that we may need him to be fit? We may actually need him. Is Pep's confidence low that this Josko deal will get over the line, so he's playing Laporte on the basis that we may need him? It's kind of frustrating, I won't lie. I make it clear all the time that I don't like to criticize. I don't like to give out, because they do very little wrong in terms of transfers, and they've always done what's best for the club. But it's annoying, these sagas. It's annoying when they drag out. It's annoying when you're getting these updates and you think it's done. It's not done. City looking at alternatives. That's not news you want to hear when you think you're close to a player. When you start seeing things like that, either A, City are playing games, like you said, to put the pressure on Leipzig, or B, which is the worst case scenario, they genuinely are looking at alternatives because they feel this Gvardiol deal is slipping away from them. So it's just a head wreck, if I'm honest, man.
You know, it is. And I think every single City fan, is feeling the same thing now. I'm feeling it, you're feeling it, the chat is feeling it, that this is just dragging on far too long. I think people are getting bored of this saga, and it's just like, what is happening? We don't fully understand why it's dragging out. You know, we're kind of led to believe it's something to do with the add-ons. And I'm just like, at this point, I just feel like, what are we doing, man? You know what I mean? What we do unless Leipzig are asking for like ridiculous amounts, which I don't think they will be. I just think City just need to get this deal done. Sometimes, you just got to pull the trigger and be like, look, with this player is too good to turn down. He's 21 years old. He's already pretty well experienced at the top level. He's perfect for the system, perfect for Pep Guardiola. He's going to be one of the best centre-backs in world football in a couple of years when he gets more experience. Sometimes these deals don't come around too often, man. Do you know what I mean? And there's no guarantee that it will get him next year. You know what I mean? Well, what about if PSG coming from next year? What about if a Bayern Munich or, I don't know, Real Madrid, someone like that coming for him? So you've got to strike when you can. And I just feel like we are messing around. Now, I still think we'll get this deal done, but, you know, it's... At the end of the day, the two clubs are not agreeing on something, and they've not agreed on it for 2 weeks. So you then start to get a bit worried and think, well, if they've not agreed for 2 weeks, well, what's going to change? Is one of them going to crumble? Is City going to just give in and just agree to what Leipzig want? Which, unless they're asking for ridiculous stuff, then I just do. Or are Leipzig going to crumble? Well, Leipzig have sold Zlobozlai. They've got the cash. You know, the release clause next summer goes up to like 96, 98 million pounds. So there'll be a release clause there next year that goes up in price. So unless I'm completely missing something, I don't see Leipzig necessarily crumbling unless Gvardiol goes on strike. So, you know, listen, for me, I just think City just need to stop messing around on this one, get the deal across the line. Because I feel like that will give everyone a bit of a boost. I think most people want Gvardiol at the club, but it's just dragging, isn't it?
Yeah, Leipzig definitely hold the ace card here. They definitely hold the bargaining power, because, as you said, next summer, as long as he has a decent season, you are going to get Real Madrid's, PSGs, and these kind of clubs coming in from. And with the release clause there, they're gonna swarm like piranhas at that. You know what I mean? They're gonna really come in for him. So we need to strike while the iron's hot. While he has personal terms agreed, while Pep really wants him, while we're in negotiations, we need to go and get that deal done. If I was Pep Guardiola right now, I'd be really frustrated. I'd be really, really frustrated, because Pep is clearly planning for a defense with Josko Gvardiol. The four centre halves, Josko Gvardiol embodies everything that Pep wants from that. An agile, ball-playing, top defensive centre half that he can use as a full-back side of things as well if he needs to. You're not giving Pep his tools to go and get success. If Pep wants something, you have to go and get it from. I get it. You can't go and say, if he wants Mbappe, spend 300 million on that. But this is something that's so achievable for Man City to get done this week. We could go and give Pep a massive tool that he needs for success this week. If it is a case of squabbling over add-ons, I'd be really disappointed if that's the reason this deal doesn't go through, because I think City, it's worth it at this stage. It's worth it for a player you could have for 10, 12 years. Just pay the add-ons. It'll come. It'll repay itself in bucket loads. So there was a report last week suggested Pep is getting frustrated, and I back it, because he is going for a very unique new style of defense, and he's quite clearly identified the man he wants, and it's looking, difficult right now. It's proven difficult to get that deal done. So what's Pep saying? How does he feel? I don't know, man. It's one of those ones that's really, really frustrating me at this stage. It's really frustrating.
Yeah. Well, like you say, Pep is reportedly frustrated at the length that this deal is taken. And, we know that ideally he'd want him before pre-season starts, so he gets that full pre-season. I have said previously, and I still stick by this, that getting Gvardiol in for pre-season probably isn't as important as maybe some other signings, because we've already got Ake, we've got Diaz, we've got Stones, we've got Akanji. We don't need him to go straight into the first team. He can have build-up time. But having said that, Leipzig have apparently put a date of the 12th of August, I believe, which is round about when their the German Super Cup is played, and that they've apparently said if you don't get him done by then he's not going. So you've got 2 weeks. There's 2 weeks to get this deal done. Now, if they're arguing over these add-ons, what are the add-ons? You know what I'm saying? Well, I don't get what the add-ons can be, because I've always been of the believer, that add-ons, I don't mind paying add-ons, because usually if you're paying add-ons, it's for something because they've done something good. Do you know what I mean? So you sign a striker, you pay 50 million, and they put an add-on to say, if the guy scores 100 goals for your club, you give us another 10 million. Right, no problem with that, because if he scores 100 goals for my club, he's clearly a good striker. I'll happily to give you another 10 million. So, typically add-ons are only paid when something good happens, typically, right? Because otherwise, why would they put the add-on in there? So for me, I'm like, unless the add-on is completely ridiculous, do you know what I mean? Like £10 million add-on if he plays 5 matches or something like that. I just full send it. I'm full happy for it, me. You know what I mean? I've always been of that belief with the add-ons. I don't really care about it. Big up to Simon with an 8 months. Says he's a great player, but City get it right virtually all of the time. Will walk away from deals that aren't right. Trust the guys doing the business. Now, I agree with that, Simon. I agree with that. If your squad is at the level that you want it to, but clearly he doesn't trust Laporte. Now, could we have a little bit of a reset with Laporte? You know how, like with Cancelo, majority of people don't really want Cancelo at City. They want him to loan out. The rumours are that City don't want him. Jack Gorn come out, very good source, and said City don't want Cancelo at the football club. I feel like with Laporte, even though clearly he was out of favour last year, like Pep didn't trust him at all, basically, I do feel that there's a chance that we could get a reset there on Laporte should this Gvardiol deal not go ahead. So it's not that bad. But ultimately, you look at our wingers, we've got 2 wingers at the football club and we've got 4 midfielders. Like, we do need players. So yes, I get the whole walking away when the deal ain't right, but sometimes you've just got to pay the money to get the players in. Otherwise, you'll have no players. We've got 2 wingers. Do you know what I mean? We can't be so say Palace, like, we want 55 million for Elise, and we're like, well, we think he's only worth 45 million. We're going to walk away. Right, okay, then what do we do? Go to the next one. Well, there's only a month left of the window and we need a winger. So I get the whole walking away, but I think you can only really do that from a position of strength. Now, you can argue with the centre-back, we are in a position of strength, but with the wingers, we're certainly not.
Yeah, I think with like Olise's kind of thing, you can go and get another Olise type player. I mean, Olise is not in that category of, there's no one else like him or can't have the same impact on City's team that Olise can. But when Pep identifies someone like Gvardiol that he really wants and decides, I need this guy, pinpoint this guy, I think you have to do everything you can to make it happen, even if it means paying something you slightly overpay or slightly more than you would actually like to. You're not going to always get the perfect deal. You know what I mean? I think having a standpoint of we will not do a deal unless it's literally pinpoint perfect to what we want. That's not business. I know we like to praise and say trust the businessman, and I do, of course. But when Pep identifies a player like Gvardiol, who is in a category of his own for his position on the pitch, for his ability and that kind of thing, you have to be willing to swallow your pride a bit and pay that little bit more, or maybe add in that little extra add-on or two that you maybe wouldn't like or preferably wouldn't like there because of what you're getting, the asset you're getting. But if it's a player like, say, Fred we walked away from, Sanchez we walked away from, Maguire we walked away from, those kind of players you can go and get an alternative to. But Pep is evolving its defense now into a new style of defense that we haven't seen a huge amount of bar the back end of last season. And he's clearly identified Gvardiol as the man he wants to spearhead that. He wants Gvardiol to be a main man in that new defense because he has all the attributes that we need. How many other defenders can bring in what Gvardiol can that are on the market right now? Maybe they do have a list of players we don't know of, around the world we've never heard of that can do it, like a Diaz type situation. But off the top of my head, I can't think of any more left-sided players as good as Gvardiol at what he does. So Pep wants him. I think it's time to swallow the pride a bit. And unless the add-ons are crazy, like you say, City finished in the top half of the Premier League, you owe us 20 million type thing. Do it. I think give Pep what he wants. Give the successful manager the tools to keep sustaining success.
Yeah, no, completely agree. Big up to Darcy, says, isn't his release clause practically the same as his current asking price? No, it's a little bit more next year. So they want 100 million euros this year, which is around 86 million pound. And then next year they want 110 million euros, which is 98 million quid. So it goes up by like 12 million next year. It's not a great deal when you're talking about 100 million pound, but there is a little bit of a difference there. Big up to Anthony, says, can we do a swap deal? Well, I've said this many times, Anthony, to be honest with you. I'm quite surprised that City have not sort of pushed Laporte towards Leipzig, and Leipzig haven't looked at Laporte. I think it'd be a great sort of swap deal. And it would have made it a lot easier for Leipzig to get a replacement in, but that clearly, for whatever reason, that's not been a thing that either club or the player has sort of pushed. So I guess the answer to that one is no. A bit weird. Let's have a look at the next bit of news that is coming out, guys. And this is regards João Cancelo. João Cancelo remains a priority for Barcelona. Here we go. Cancelo remains Barcelona's priority as a new right back. Fresneda is the second option. So apparently, now that they're selling Dembele, they're going to have some funds available. to basically get a player in. Now, it won't be a buy. They ain't going to buy Cancelo. No chance. I don't see that happening. I think it will probably be a loan deal with a small loan fee. But it does look like there's a chance that Cancelo could be on his way to Barcelona. Apparently, he's their first choice target, and they do have funds if PSG. I don't know if this PSG to Dembele thing is now like, is it done? If they've got the deal done, but it's pretty much done, I believe. So yeah, bro, Cancelo looks like he potentially, still early days, potentially might be on his way to Barcelona.
Yeah, I reckon it's a club and a team that would suit him. You know, it's a league that would suit him. We know how technically good he is and what he offers going forward. And in the Liga, he won't have anywhere near as much defending to do playing for Barcelona as he would for Manchester City in the Premier League. So stylistically, it suits him. But it would surprise me. It would surprise me just a little bit, because if there was a massive fracture in a relationship between Pep and Cancelo, you know how close Pep is to Xavi at Barcelona. I'm sure Xavi will have spoken to Pep, or he will speak to Pep about that. Maybe Pep will say it's no big deal. You know, fresh start will do him good, and Xavi's willing to take that risk. But there is that factor I think is worth considering. But if Xavi's willing to overlook that and in isolation look at the player he's acquiring, I think it's a good deal for Barcelona. If Pep really wants him off our books, he ain't going to complain either. Let him go. Let him away. He's away from the team. So if it happens, and it suits all parties, I have no issue with it. Because I don't think, as we just spoke about, or I said there about Pep's new evolution of defense, I don't think there's a world where that includes João Cancelo. I don't think he's defensively solid enough to play in this new system that Pep
Well, I
wants.
mean, just look at the second half, bro, yesterday.
Rotten. I mean, if you look at we said, myself and Joe said on the stream yesterday evening, that all the attacks, the wave after wave of attack that Atletico Madrid put on us in the second half, it came down both our flanks. Primarily, they opened us up down the flanks, and then they were able to come into our 18-yard box, putting pressure on the likes of Diaz and Stefan Ortega, who were the two fullbacks, Cancelo and Gomez, both of which we know don't really have a defensive bone in their body. So that was probably a massive indication to Pep Guardiola. I'm going to run even further now with this 4 centre-half system.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the 4 centre-half system, it worked so well last year. Like, why change it? Why go back? And yeah, I agree. I think that Cancelo won't get game time at City, so he does need to leave. People were saying play him right wing, but not for me. I'd like a right winger. You know what I mean? We just won the treble. I don't really want to be playing a right back, right wing. You should get a right winger who can play right wing. And yeah, Barcelona clearly going to take him. We're not going to be able to sell this guy. And even if we do, it'll be pennies on the dollar, man. You know what I mean? So it'll probably be a loan deal. Outside, out of mind. Deal we get kick the can down the road. We'll deal it again next summer. But yeah, it's looking like Cancelo could be gone. So yeah, it's one of them, because we did have a bit of a discussion about it, didn't we? About whether or not City fans would be happy if Cancelo stayed at the football club, and it was one of them where I think most fans thought don't really want him to stay, but if he stays, then we'll back him. But yeah, it's clear. It's clear. It became clear to me when Jack Gorn came out last week and said City don't want Cancelo at the football club. Yeah, I mean, that's you ain't. That's it then. Big up Intend man with a donation says City knew the price tag. It's a shambles. Not happy there from Intend. Well, the thing is it the price tag that's causing the issue? I don't believe it is. I believe it's the add-ons, if you believe the rumours. So the problem is we're in a bit of a dodgy situation here, because we don't know what the add-ons are. You know what I mean? So we can be like, City, what you doing? Get the deal done, but ultimately, we don't know what the add-ons are, so we don't know whether City are right in taking the stance that they are doing. My only thing is, I just don't see Leipzig being like. I just don't think club operate in that dodgy, like that, like a idiot kind of way. I think the add-ons that they're probably offering are probably reasonable, and maybe City are just try to. I don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they're doing. The problem is it's difficult, man, because as fans, we're just in the middle. We don't know what's going on. We just got to go off of speculation. Do you know what I mean? And then people are like, well, we should trust the club. They've done well, and that's fair. But then at the same time, why is it taking this fucking long, man? Do you know what I mean?
I think we're allowed to ask questions. You know what I mean? We're allowed to be curious.
Oh, fucking hope so. It's not North Korea, innit? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. But you get people like, don't question the board. They'll always make the right decision. I get that, and I do back the board. But when you're seeing contrasting reports coming out daily, you're going to start saying, well, what the hell is going on? I'd like some clarity. If we're not going to get him, tell us we're not going to get him. We can talk about that, and, we can move on, prepare for life with no Gvardiol. if we're going to get him, I'd like to know that we're trying hard to get him and what the issue is. So it's just no communication or getting the right information, which unfortunately, because all we are as YouTubers, we don't get access to that information, do we?
One of the things I would also say is I think it's got worse this summer because since the charges or whatever, it does seem that City have locked down a lot more information, and they're not. You're seeing it with like the lack of leaks, the lack of rumors. Years ago, a couple of years ago, time like now, we'd have player after player after player being linked with our football club, and it'd just be like fucking everyone would just be chatting about who we're signing, who we're not signing. We get nothing these days, and I think that's partly due to City. I think City have closed off the sort of the circle at the top of people who know what we're doing, and therefore it's making it more difficult for journalists to get information, and therefore as fans, one of the consequences there is that we're just sort of in the dark, and we're just like we don't know what's going on, man.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I think I see people complaining about the lack of transfer movement and the lack of activity from our board, but I refuse to believe that they're sitting with their hands under their arses, if you get me, that they're doing nothing. I believe they are active. I believe they are looking at options for wingers, maybe midfielders, Gvardiol. We know all that. I believe they are on it. But what you're saying is more than likely true. They're keeping their cards close to their chest. They're keeping their circle tight knit. They're allowing as little information to access public platforms as possible, probably since the charges. So it's just something we have to deal with. It doesn't make life easy for us, bro. When we're trying to make streams and trying to talk about what's going on, it don't make life easy for us. But
it just makes it confusing more than anything else because, like you said, you're just getting one source will say, "Oh yeah, it's close, it's almost done." Another source will say, "Nah," and then it's just like, well, that's it. That's literally it. Like you don't really get like. Jack Gorn used to be tweeting all the time, Sam Lee, and I just feel like is there access to information being cut a little bit because City are trying to protect their information because obviously they've got hacked. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. Big up Lord of Checks here, man, with a 23 months. Says, yes, boys, easily one of the most frustrating transfer windows in forever. It's a little bit frustrating. And Callum says, don't Leipzig says the add-ons was unrealistic, though, so there could be side more than City. Yeah, so apparently... City, so apparently City offered add-ons, right? But Leipzig thought they were unrealistic. Is that right? But then it's like, well, what did City put in the add-ons that are unrealistic? We just won the treble, so it can't be anything to do with trophies.
I would have thought that Leipzig would determine the add-ons.
I thought that as well. I thought that as well, bro.
I don't understand what Leipzig are unhappy about. It's more likely than a case of Leipzig have proposed add-ons and City aren't willing to pay them or aren't willing to insert them into the contract.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I thought. You know what I mean? Normally when you sell something, you're the one sort of dictating the price and the terms, not the buyer. Do you know what I mean? You're the one with the asset that they want. So look, I don't know what's going on. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, Gvardiol. Look, I think this week's a huge week in the deal for Gvardiol. I think if this deal is going to get done, we'll hear real positive news this week. I think if we get to the end of this week and we're not hearing too much, then it could be a rip. Cancelo to Barcelona, possible. I think that's one that could drag on a little bit, though, because Barcelona there are kind of in the driving seat. They've got the power position on that one because they know that City don't want Cancelo. So if City are like, you want Cancelo, here's the fee, or this is the loan fee, they'll just be like, nah. And then City are like, oh shit, yeah. You know what I mean? We're not in no power. We have zero power about the Cancelo thing. So that could be one that I think drags on a little bit longer. Unless Barcelona are just like, look, let's just get the player in. Now they've got 50 million quid. They've got a little bit of cash. Speaking of cash, big up to Ash. Says score versus Spurs away was one ad. Let's move on. Score versus Spurs away.
I mean, if he scores away to Spurs, which we've never done before, that's one of the
add-ons. Yeah, good one, Ash.
Sorry, I like that.
Yeah, I did like it when I understood what he was on about. Anyway, it took me a while. Right, cool. We'll wrap it up there. Stay tuned. I think this is going to be a big week. I really, really do. I think this is the week that we hear what's going on with this Gvardiol. Because, there's only 2 weeks left of this deadline, apparently, being set by Leipzig. So I think this is the week, really, that we start to hear a lot more information. So, yeah, stay tuned. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. So, make sure you like the stream as well. With 25 likes off 150. Big up to Manscaped for sponsoring today's stream. And, guys, we'll see you in the next one. See you in a bit. 85% of partners prefer a man who is groomed below the waist, and 96% of partners think bad grooming is a major turn-off. That's where Manscaped have come in to help us all out, including myself, lads. The Lawnmower 4.0 is a trimmer specifically designed with our crown jewels in mind. It has skin-safe technology to reduce those nicks and cuts and gives you the maximum confidence while trimming below the waist. It's also IPX7 waterproof rated, so you can operate in wet or dry conditions. It has a premium 7,000 RPM motor with quiet stroke technology and a massive 90-minute battery time, which is supported by its wireless electromagnetic charging function. With the Performance Package 4.0, you'll get the Crop Reviver with witch hazel and powerful odor defense. This keeps your balls protected after a good shave. Crop Preserver with its soothing aloe vera and advanced quick absorbing cream, keeping your balls feeling fresh and hydrated. And the Weed Whacker to trim ear and nose hair. The Performance Package 4.0 has everything you need to keep you the most groomed man in the room. Use our code XTRA20 XTRA20 at checkout and you'll save yourself 20% off your order and receive free international shipping.